everyone. I'm Liza, and welcome to Talkberry English Podcast. Today, we're not just learning English, we're learning how to stop wasting our lives.
And I'm Johnny. Are you just surviving or truly living? Stay with us as we dive into the truth that can wake you up from the life you didn't even know you were sleeping through.
This is Talkberry English Podcast, real talk, real change, and real English for your real life.
Yes, this is Talkberry English Podcast, real talk, real change, and real English for your real life.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we sift through sources, notes, all sorts of material, really, to pull out the insights that matter. And today, I want you to just for a second pause, take a breath, and ask yourself something pretty fundamental. Am I really living right now, or am I kind of just existing?
Yeah. That question hits deep, doesn't it? It really
Okay,
cuts to
well.
the chase. And our source material for this deep dive, it tackles that head on. We've been digging into these excerpts from a really potent motivational videos from English Avenue called Don't Waste Your Life.
Exactly. And our goal here for you is to extract the real usable insights from it. Not just, vague ideas, but practical, solid lessons on how you can stop that feeling of merely existing and actually start, building the life you really want. We're going to look at getting a grip on your time, your actions, and, your whole mindset.
And you might find some surprising things, some truths that kind of push back against common thinking, like what wasting time really means, or the hidden dangers of staying comfortable and the sheer power of just asking yourself, why not now? So, let's get into it.
All right. Let's kick things off with the first big lesson from the source, the irreplaceable value of time. And look, the video doesn't pull any punches. It says flat out, time is your life itself. Wasting it means destroying pieces of your life. It points right at, the endless scrolling, hitting snooze again and again, putting things off with, I'll do it tomorrow, because those are actual bits of your life just vanishing.
It's a pretty stark way to put it. And what makes it stick, I think, is how it taps into those deeper fears. It reminds you, you don't get a second life, you don't get a second chance. Simple as that. Your dreams. Yeah, they're out there waiting, but the source really pushes back, like for how long? And the world, it argues, doesn't really care about your excuses. It just cares about results. So it makes you stop and think, right, what did you actually do yesterday? Or the day before? Did it move the needle? Or are you kind of stuck in that loop where someday it never seems to arrive?
It's definitely a wake-up call. And the solution it offers is pretty direct. Start valuing your hours like gold. Be intentional about it. Like maybe write down a plan for the day. Focus on just one thing, one single thing that actually pushes your life forward. Even something small, like cut out an hour of social media and use it to read or learn something new, grow. The warning is sharp, though. Time can be your friend if you respect it. If you don't, it becomes your enemy. Fast.
Yeah, that shift in perspective is huge. Thinking of time not as this abstract thing, but as the actual fabric of your life. And that flows perfectly into the next big insight from the video, which is all about taking personal responsibility. Building from scratch, essentially.
Oh, this one feels so important, especially now. The idea is just crystal clear. Your life. It's your responsibility. The source is blunt. It's not anyone else's job. Not your parents, not your friends, not your bosses, not the government's, nobody else's. It specifically says blaming things like, I didn't go to a fancy school, or I don't have the money, or I don't have the talent. It's not just unhelpful. It's literally wasting years of your life.
Yeah, and what's really powerful there is how it immediately pushes you to switch from a victim mindset to a creator mindset. The winners in life, the video argues, they don't get hung up on what they didn't get. They start creating with whatever they have, or even with nothing. The Oprah Winfrey example is used a lot for a reason, right? Born into serious poverty, abused.
Yeah.
Yet she built this massive empire, became a global force. Her story isn't about what she lacked. It's about what she built from the ground up.
Exactly. So the action step here is, accept your story, know where you came from, but absolutely refuse to be a victim of it. Maybe literally write down your problems. Then for each one, brainstorm just one possible solution. And then this is key, take action. Doesn't matter how small. The source insists you are not weak, you are not unlucky, you are just not using your power. So think about that for a second. How much of your own power might you be giving away right now by focusing only on what you don't have instead of what you could create?
That's a really challenging question. And often the thing that stops us from tapping into that power is, it's surprisingly sneaky. It's the comfort zone.
Ah, yes. The comfort zone. It feels good, right? Easy, relaxing. The source paints this picture. You wake up, you check your phone, you eat, maybe watch some videos, scroll a bit, maybe do a tiny bit of study or work, then sleep, repeat. But the video warns, like, you're dying slowly from the inside when you do that. It's quietly smothering your dreams. Why? Because there is no growth in comfort. All success lives outside of it, period.
It's kind of backward, isn't it? Comfort feels like self-care, maybe, or just chilling out, but it can easily lead to just stagnating. The video uses this great analogy, a seed. It only becomes a strong tree if it first breaks through the dirt, right? Then it has to face the wind, the rain, all that stuff. It's the same for us. Growth only happens when we push beyond what feels easy and safe. Which brings up a good question for you listening.
Yep.
What's one thing you know you've been putting off, mostly because it just feels uncomfortable?
Right. And the solution it gives is, well, it sounds simple, but it's actually really powerful. Do something uncomfortable every single day. Try speaking that new language, even if you stumble over words. Sign up for that class you've been eyeing. Apply for that job that feels like a stretch. Post that video you're nervous about. The source has this mantra, fail proudly, fail loudly, but fail forward, because nothing truly amazing ever happened by playing it safe. Just think about the potential growth waiting on the other side of that discomfort.
And often that hesitation, that reluctance to leave the comfort zone, it's tied up with our next point, the tyranny of later versus the power of now.
Oh, I'll do it later. The source just calls it out. It's the biggest lie you tell yourself, flat out. It's that little voice, laziness, maybe fear. But what it really means often is, I don't actually want to do this at all. And the hard truth, the source says, is that later almost always turns into never. And that leads to the absolute worst kind of pain.
Yeah.
Regret.
Regret.
Yeah. And what really stands out is the contrast it paints. People who actually achieve things, they act now, even when they don't feel ready, even when they're terrified. The video shares this example. Someone wanted to start a YouTube channel 2 years back, but they were scared. Thought later, Now, somebody else is living that exact dream they had. Time, it hammers home, isn't your servant. It doesn't wait around for you to feel perfectly ready or confident.
So the fix is almost laughably simple. Just set a timer for 10 minutes. Start. That's it. Stop the endless planning and thinking. The source nails it. One action now is better than 100 perfect plans for later. So I'll ask you directly, what's that thing you keep saying later to? And what's just one tiny, tiny step you could take, like right now?
That focus on just doing something immediately is so critical, and it connects directly to the next hurdle, the overthinking trap, moving from just thinking to actually doing. Yeah, this is a big one. I think almost everyone can relate to this. Your mind, the source explains, it can be your greatest asset or your worst enemy. And for a lot of people, it becomes a cage. Why? Because they spend all their time thinking, analyzing, planning, and they do absolutely nothing. You want to start a business. Okay, you think about it for 6 months. Want to learn French? You watch videos, you buy books, you make notes. But you never actually try to speak it. Overthinking, the source says bluntly, is destroying your life. It makes you tired before you even start. You imagine every possible failure before you even try.
That's such a key distinction. Thinking is important, sure, for a little while, for planning. But if you let it go on too long, it just turns into fear. And fear, as the source points out, is basically a liar. The analogy about learning to swim is perfect, right? Reading books, watching tutorials. None of that matters if you never actually get in the water. You don't need to have it all figured out to start. You just need to start.
So the call to action is super clear, very direct. Think for 10 minutes, then act for the next 10 hours. The idea is to build momentum. Let the doing become the habit, not the thinking. The advice is almost physical. Shut down your mind and let your hands and legs move. Success, the source insists, doesn't come from thinking about it. It comes from doing it. So ask yourself honestly, are your amazing plans just sitting there in your head, totally stuck because you're overanalyzing everything?
It's a really deep question because often the biggest thing stopping you isn't something external, it's internal. Which brings us to this idea of the battle within, you versus you.
This section really hit home for me. It's just so raw and honest. Your biggest opponent, the source says, isn't out there somewhere. It's not your boss or your competition or bad luck. It's that part of you, the part that wants to quit, the part that wants to just be average, coast along, the part that just wants to relax and do nothing. That's the real fight every single day. The lazy you versus the ambitious you, the scared you versus the brave you, the sleepy you versus the hungry you.
Yeah, and if you link that to the bigger picture, it just highlights this fundamental choice you make constantly. Are you going to be the person who scrolls mindlessly for 3 hours? Or the one who reads 10 pages of something useful? The one who stays up late watching junk? or the one who gets up and works on their business, their future. The source uses that classic two wolves analogy, right? One is lazy, full of doubt. The other is strong, hungry, determined. And the one you feed, well, that's the one that gets stronger. It really comes down to making a conscious choice.
So the solution is pretty straightforward. You have to consciously kill lazy habits, like actively fight them. Maybe start by tracking your day. Notice every time you choose growth, choose effort over just taking it easy. And then actually celebrate those little wins, acknowledge them. The source suggests your identity itself will start to shift. Slowly, maybe, but surely. This isn't just a game, it says. It's a war, you versus you. So which wolf are you actively choosing to feed today?
And feeding that right wolf, well, that requires deliberately building up your willpower, which is our next crucial lesson.
Right. The source is emphatic about this. If you don't actively train your willpower, your feelings are just going to run the show. And it delivers this powerful truth bomb. Feelings are liars. You might not feel like getting up early. You might not feel like working out or studying or making a difficult call. But if you always give in to how you feel in the moment, you're basically handing over control of your entire future to your moods, which change all the time.
Yeah. And one really interesting point the source makes is the difference between motivation and discipline. Successful people, it argues, they aren't always motivated. Like, they don't wake up jazzed every single day, but they are disciplined. They do the work anyway. Willpower, the source says, it's like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it gets. Plain and simple. It uses the example of, say, trying to put your phone away after 10 p.m. You might fail the first few times, of course, but you keep trying, you keep pushing, and eventually you build that inner strength.
So the advice is practical. Start small. Pick one thing, just one thing you know you should do, but you really don't want to, and then just do it anyway. Build that muscle of daily discipline. And here's a key point. Reward yourself for doing the hard thing, not for just avoiding the discomfort. Talk to yourself like a leader, not a victim. Like, I keep the promises I make to myself. The day you get a handle on your willpower, the source suggests, is the day you really start steering your own life. So what's one small habit, just one, you could start building your willpower around, beginning today?
And that's such a foundational step. And while you're focusing on building yourself up, you need to be really careful about the next point, comparison, which the source calls the killer of progress.
Oh boy, this one is so true, and I think it hits hard for a lot of people in the age of social media. The source just lays it out. If you are constantly comparing yourself to other people, you will never be happy. Never. Why? Because most of us spend way more time watching other people's lives unfold online than we do actually building our own. You scroll, you see the perfect body, the fancy car, the amazing house, the huge view count, and you start to feel this like subtle self-hatred creep in.
Yeah, the core issue here is the illusion, right?
Right.
You're comparing your messy, unfiltered real life, your behind the scenes, with someone else's perfectly polished highlight reel. You see maybe 15 seconds of their shiny life, and then you stack it up against your entire 24 hours. You don't see the struggles, the failures, the lonely nights they probably had. The source uses this beautiful analogy. Imagine a sunflower comparing itself to a rose, worrying about its color or height. They'd both totally forget their own unique beauty. Your race, it reminds us, is only against yourself, yesterday's version of you.
So the practical advice is pretty clear. If certain accounts or people consistently make you feel bad about yourself, just unfollow them. It's okay. Instead, put all that energy into your journey. Track your progress from last month, not someone else's apparent success. Actively replace that destructive comparison with genuine inspiration. Find people who motivate you, don't make you feel less than. Remember, you were born to be better than you were yesterday, not to be a copy of someone else. Take a second. How might comparison be secretly holding you back? And how can you deliberately shift your focus back to your own growth?
That's a great point. And speaking of focus and who you listen to, that leads right into the next lesson, being discerning about who you take advice from.
Right, this one's crucial. The source puts it very directly. Not everyone giving advice is qualified to speak. It's that simple. It uses these vivid pictures. You wouldn't ask a guy whose roof is caving in how to build a solid house, would you? Or ask your perpetually broke friend for tips on getting rich?
Probably not.
And the internet, it notes, is just overflowing with noise, opinions everywhere, often from people with zero real experience in what they're talking about. It gives that relatable example. Maybe your uncle, who's never run a business in his life, tells you not to start yours because it's way too risky.
Yeah, so it boils down to asking one key question about the person giving advice. Has this person actually achieved what I want to achieve? If the answer is yes, then yeah, listen up, pay close attention, absorb what you can. But if the answer is no, the advice is Thank them politely and move on. Don't be rude, but don't let their unqualified opinion derail you either. The source warns that just one bad piece of advice from the wrong person can delay your dream by 10 years. You got to protect your vision.
Seriously,
Yeah.
such a vital reminder. Seriously, take a moment and think about where you're getting advice from, especially for your biggest goals. You're the architect here. And sometimes, even with good advice or no advice, you just have to make the move yourself. Which brings us to picking yourself when nobody else will.
The world, the source says pretty bluntly, probably isn't going to pick you. Not at first, anyway. They're not going to applaud you until you've already kind of made it. They probably won't believe in you until the success is obvious. So, what's the big takeaway? You have to pick yourself. You absolutely must. Stop waiting around for someone else's permission slip. Stop hoping for someone to notice you or give you that lucky break.
Yeah, this is where that real self-starter mentality comes in. The most successful people, they didn't wait for an invitation. They just started. They didn't beg for approval. They approved themselves. Think about J.K. Rowling, right? Rejected by what, 12 publishers? Before Harry Potter finally got picked up, imagine if she just waited for someone else to say, yes, you're good enough. She didn't. She picked herself, kept going, and eventually the whole world had to take notice.
So the action here is almost literal. Write your own name on the opportunity slip. Start that channel. Write that book. Launch that podcast. Apply for that job that scares you a little. Tell yourself and really mean it. I don't need anyone else to pick me. I pick myself. Every single day. Because the world, the source argues, it just can't ignore someone who believes in themselves that hard, that consistently. So think about it. Where have you maybe been subtly waiting for someone else's nod of approval? And how can you just decide to pick yourself right now instead?
That's a really powerful challenge. And that need to pick yourself, that urgency, gets amplified by the next undeniable truth. The clock is ticking. Now is your time.
Yeah, time isn't waiting for you. The clock's not going to slow down just because you feel tired or confused or maybe a bit scared. Life is just, it's running relentlessly. And every second that ticks by, that's a second you're never getting back, ever. And the really scary part, the source warns, is you might not even realize how much time you've let slip away until, one day you wake up, maybe 10 years older. You look in the mirror and you just have this horrible, sinking feeling. What the hell happened to my dreams?
The source is just incredibly direct about this. You're not too young, you're not too old, you're not too busy, you're just making excuses. That's it. It asks you straight up, when? When are you finally going to stop just watching other people win and actually start creating your own life? It emphasizes that the thing that's way scarier than failing is that deep, nagging pain of regret. That feeling, it says, will stick with you like a knife in your chest.
Whatever.
So the call to action is powerful, urgent. Stop acting like you have unlimited time. You don't. None of us do. Your time is now. So if you're listening and feeling stuck, maybe this is that jolt you need. Really embrace the urgency of making your dreams happen.
And sometimes what fuels those dreams, what gives you the drive, is something really personal, which brings us to the power of your pain.
Yeah, this one feels deep. Look, you've probably been through stuff. Maybe cried alone, felt betrayed, failed at something important, been laughed at or put down. The source acknowledges that. You might walk around acting okay, but carrying this heavy weight inside. But that pain, that deep hurt, it presents you with a fundamental choice. It can either break you down, destroy you, or it can be the very thing that builds you up. The decision it stresses is completely yours to make.
Most people, naturally, they run from pain, try to ignore it, bury it under distractions, fake smiles, whatever. But the strongest people, the source observes, they do something different. They actually use it like fuel. They take that suffering and they say, okay, that pain, it made me tougher. That heartbreak, it taught me self-respect. That failure, it forced me to learn and grow. The wisdom here is, don't be ashamed of your pain. Be incredibly proud that you survived it. Let it sharpen you, make you more resilient, not silence you. Remember that saying, the darkest nights produce the brightest stars. There's truth in that.
That's such a powerful reframe. Turning your struggles into your strengths, really profound. And that energy, that strength you find, it needs direction. Which leads us right into how to manage your focus. Starve distractions, feed focus.
Right now, the source says, think of it like there are two forces, two wolves inside your head. One is distraction, the other is focus, and the one that wins. It's simply the one you feed more often. Every time you get lost scrolling for hours or caught up in useless gossip or stuck in loops of overthinking or just binge watching stuff mindlessly, you're feeding the distraction wolf. And the more you feed it, the weaker your dreams get. Your brain gets kind of lazy. your motivation just evaporates.
Yeah, the choice it presents is really stark. It asks pretty directly, how long are you going to keep portraying your own future just for a little bit of temporary comfort today? The solution. Be ruthless. Starve those distractions. Turn off the phone sometimes. Set real boundaries. Maybe even cut ties with toxic people who drain you. Act like a warrior protecting your time, your energy. And then, just as intentionally, feed your focus. Read. Work on your goals. Learn something new. Build something. Fail, sure, but then immediately try again. Focus, it reminds us, is a muscle you train. Imagine, it suggests, what just 1 year of intense, dedicated effort could do for your life. Just 1 year.
It's a huge call to be intentional, isn't it? So maybe pause and think, which wolf are you mostly feeding right now? And how is that choice affecting your progress?
Which brings us to another really empowering idea, creating your new version.
Okay, so if you look at your life right now and you don't like what you see, the really empowering message here is you're the creator. You actually have the power to rebuild it. You're not a tree, right? You're not stuck in the ground. You can move. You can change. You can totally redesign your whole existence if you choose to. Yeah, the source is super direct about this. Don't keep doing the exact same things day after day and somehow expect different results. That's just, well, it calls it insanity. Instead, be bold. Be willing to metaphorically burn it to the ground and start again. Not literally destroying things, obviously, but like a rebirth. Change your hair, change your habits, maybe change your friends if they're holding you back. Change your environment. Change how you think about things. Stop trying to copy everyone else. Start building your unique, authentic version of a life well lived. You don't need to wait for some crisis or hit rock bottom. You can just decide right now. You're the artist. Life's your canvas. So go create your new version. Make it powerful. Make it beautiful. Make it unforgettable.
Yeah, see yourself as the designer, the architect, not just someone drifting along. And as you're designing that life, you have to be really aware of the next insight, expectations, and how they can become the prison of dreams.
Oof, this one's heavy, but so necessary. The source tells this story about someone stuck in a job they absolutely hate. Why? Because the family pressure, societal expectations, all that stuff. And the blunt truth it lays out is this. If you live your life only to make other people happy, it will slowly, surely just kill your own spirit. It leads to resentment, maybe even self-hatred down the line. Their expectations for you, they're absolutely not your destiny.
People will try, the source reminds us, often with good intentions, to put you in a box. They'll say, oh, stay safe, be realistic, don't dream too big. But the core message here is that you were born to chase your dream, whatever that is for you. And sometimes doing that means making tough choices. It might mean disappointing people you care about. It might mean having to say no more often. It might even mean walking a path that feels kind of lonely for a while. If you're constantly living just for others' approval, you might put on a happy face in public, but the source suggests you'll probably end up crying alone.
So the solution here is all about liberation. Break those chains. Drop the mask you might be wearing. Stop living for everyone else and truly start living for you. This is your life, your one shot. So I really encourage you, think honestly about any external expectations that might be subtly boxing you in, holding you back from what you truly desire.
It really is about finding that authentic freedom, isn't it? But that freedom, it comes with a pretty fierce reality check, which is our final, really profound insight. Life doesn't owe you anything, so fight for everything.
Okay, this is where the source just lays it all out. Raw, unvarnished, no sugarcoating. It states crystal clear. The world doesn't care about your potential. It only rewards your performance. That's it. Nobody, it warns, is just going to show up and hand you success. Not going to happen. It is all on you. Life, it declares, is basically a battlefield. You got to fight.
And what's so potent here is the call to find that inner strength, that resilience. Stop waiting around hoping someone will help you. Start fighting like hell for what you want. That hunger, that fire, that rage to rise above your circumstances, it has to come from inside you. Yeah, life's unfair sometimes. Sure, some people start way ahead.
Right.
Okay, but the real question the source poses is, what are you going to do about it? Are you just going to sit and complain? Or are you going to stand up and say, look, I don't care how hard this is, I will make it happen.
So the mindset shift is huge.
Ooh.
Wake up every single day thinking, life doesn't owe me a single damn thing, but I am still going to go out and take everything I deserve.
Well,
Work harder than the next person. Show up earlier. Keep pushing when everyone else gives up. Earn your success. Earn your crown, not through luck, but through blood, sweat, and just sheer obsession. It's a harsh reality, maybe, but it's also incredibly inspiring. It's about digging deep, finding that inner resolve, and demanding way, way more from yourself.
And that right there, that whole journey, that's what we've unpacked from these really powerful ideas in Don't Waste Your Life.
Yeah, we've covered a lot. From realizing how precious time is to understanding you've got to fight like hell for your dreams. But the main thread, the core message woven through all of this material, it's really clear. The power to change your life, to build something amazing, it's not out there somewhere. It's inside you, right here, right now. Every single day, you get to make that choice again. Are you just going to exist, or are you going to truly, deeply live?
The source ends with this really striking affirmation. It says, you have no idea what you're capable of. You think you're weak, you're not. You think you're behind, you're just warming up. You are a storm waiting to rise.
So our final thought for you to take away and maybe chew on is this. What storm are you waiting to unleash in your own life? And maybe more importantly, what's just one small concrete step you can take today, right now, to start that incredible climb? Your real greatness. It's waiting for you to step up.